Welcome everyone to today's webinar. We are super excited to have representatives from CHPS, Oregon Door, and Group14 Engineering to talk today about building better pre-K through 14 schools. Elizabeth, Gretchen, Maddie are all doing tremendous work to build better schools, and nobody can argue with we need as good as schools as we can get as people start heading back and things get back to hopefully a better than previously normal state. So today we're going to hear from Elizabeth Crouchide, the Managing Director of CHPS, Gretchen Withers, Sustainability Specialist from Oregon Door, and Maddie Gore from Group14 Engineering, who is actually a CHPS specialist and is going to take you through working on a CHPS project. And then back at the end, we'll go into the transparency catalog so that you can see how easy it is to find brands and products that contribute to meeting the CHPS criteria. So for those of you who are new to Sustainable Minds, I'm Terry Swack, I'm the CEO and founder. I started the company back in 2007 with the mission to operationalize environmental performance into mainstream manufacturing to drive revenue and growth through greener product innovation. Our mission has only been amended slightly to say to operationalize environmental performance and material health evaluation into mainstream manufacturing so that manufacturers just design greener and healthier products from the start. So we are a software company that also provides technical services to help manufacturers not only design greener products, but market greener products. So when we got involved in the building construction industry at the beginning of LEED version 4, when that draft was introduced in 2012, we extended our scope to become an EPD program operator, where we develop PCRs, we deliver environmental product declarations, we do LCAs, life cycle assessments, and material ingredient disclosure services for manufacturers. We also train manufacturers to do them themselves. That's the operationalized part. And all of these disclosures are in service to the manufacturer to market their products in a credible way, to disclose the environmental impacts. That's what an EPD does, and the material ingredients, whether there are any potential risks or hazards posed by those ingredients. And now it's just part of how manufacturers market their products to get into, we refer to as high performance buildings or greener and healthier buildings. And today we're going to be talking about schools. So the transparency catalog is designed to make it super, super easy to find all the brands who have invested in one or both types of transparency documentation for the North American market, organized by MasterFormat. So it is a specification tool. It's free to use, there's no login, and we've made it possible to find the brands and the products that you're looking for. They're going to meet the rating system credits we're going to talk about today, literally in a single click. So our mission is to continue to revolutionize green building product selection and specification to grow revenue and brand value for building product manufacturers, so they actually get rewarded for making better products. And the way we're revolutionizing this space is to radically simplify the delivery of the transparency documentation and to help manufacturers make those investments pay off. What's different about the transparency catalog from specification tools or other product platforms is that it was designed from the ground up to be a specification tool for the high performance building market. It has a database, it's not a database, and we design from a user's perspective by deeply understanding all of the different types of users from the beginning of a project, doing early stage research, through specification, through pre-construction now when Contractors need to be able to find those products and bid on a project to credibly show they can build high performance buildings, and they can easily source the products that meet the design intent of the team and the specification. So we know who's using the catalog by who attends our webinars, like you. And you saw that question when you registered to let us know, have you seen the transparency catalog, yes or no? And this is important information for us because we don't require any login to the catalog. We believe transparency and privacy go hand in hand. We don't believe people should have to give us personal information to get access to the content that we provide. And so it is important to know who's coming to the webinars and to let us know what you think about the catalog and whether you're using it, because we need to be able to tell the manufacturers who's using the catalog. So here's an example list of people who came last year to the webinars, and you can see it's a good cross-section of small and large firms, design firms, construction companies, consultants, and people all across the hierarchy. So we're pretty happy with knowing that we've created something that's easy to use. And I'm going to pass it over now to Elizabeth so she can talk about CHPS, and we'll bring it all together in the end, how CHPS and Sustainable Minds have been partnering to make it easy for you to build higher performance schools. So Elizabeth, take it away.
Thank you, Terry. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Elizabeth Crouchide. It rhymes with outside. I know it's a massive last name. I'm Managing Director at CHPS. I joined in 2017, and it's been a real pleasure to work with Terry and everyone at CHPS for the last 4 years. So today I'm going to give you an introduction to what CHPS does and who we are, in case you aren't already familiar with us. I will also be talking about what we do in terms of our criteria for construction projects and how we address healthy and environmentally friendly materials in our requirements. So first, a 101 about us. We've been around for 22 years. We got our start in California when a group of state agencies and other stakeholders gathered together to create best practices that would guide the design and construction of what they called high performance schools, which were intended to be energy efficient, water efficient, and have a healthy indoor environment for students and teachers. We incorporated as an independent 501c3 a couple years later, and we ended up going national a few years after that because a number of other states were interested in what we were doing and wanted to do the same thing. So we have, as you could see from the map, we have a national criteria that we call US CHPS that can be used in any of the dark orange states. And then the light orange states are where there's a geographic adaptation of our criteria, such as California CHPS, Hawaii CHPS, Texas CHPS, Virginia, the Northeast, et cetera. We have staff in 4 states. That includes a certified energy manager, a certified professional engineer, and a certified commissioning agent. We like to think we know our stuff, and we like to think that we can be very helpful, and that's our goal, is to help everyone build high performance schools. So why do we do what we do? Well, you can see from the pie chart that, and this is a more recent study than our origination date, but the information has been out there for a while. The Salford study in 2015 just put the numbers to it, which is if you look at student achievement, all of the factors that go into student achievement, a full 16% can be accounted for by the quality of the physical environment in the classroom. And so our mission is to work with designers and contractors and building operators to make every school an ideal place to learn. We value collaboration, and we value respect for geographic variations in such things as climate and regulations and school funding and values and so on. In our criteria, we established 3 priorities. They are, number 1, the health and well-being of the students and educators and staff. Number 2, efficiently using energy and water resources in order to conserve as much as you can and also to reduce the operating costs. And lastly, it's about the overall environment and an overall healthy community. So our criteria is organized and serves a similar purpose as other green building rating systems, such as LEED and Living Building Challenge and so on. We can serve new construction projects, so brand new schools, major renovations, either with or without an addition. And new, we are starting a program for minor renovations, meaning if the school is just installing new flooring or repainting the walls or something, we're going to be able to verify that for them. We also work with both classroom and non-classroom buildings. So sometimes campuses have a standalone performing arts center, for example. We can work with that team. And we serve preschool, K through 12, and community colleges, which is where the term pre-K to 14 comes from. Grades 13 and 14 are shorthand for community college. And we do work with both public school districts and private schools. We organize our criteria very similar to the way it is in LEED, with one difference. We have an operations category built into our design and construction criteria. So we cover integration and innovation, indoor environmental quality, and we use the abbreviations that you see in the parentheses there. Energy efficiency, water efficiency, the quality of the site, and what happens with materials and waste. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the operations piece, which is very important. Like other systems, we have a mix of both mandatory requirements and then optional menu that teams can choose from based on what the owner values and what's needed in the building. Our point total is high because unlike some other systems, we put points to the prerequisites, which allows us to give them weight so that users can see what's the most important and what they're getting for that action. As you can see by the list under thresholds, if you are going for CHPS verification, these are the points you would need to achieve in order to earn the recognition. It's a little lower for non-classroom buildings because of the variety of building types and the variety in the scopes of work that would happen in those buildings. And then I thought it was important to point out that more than half of the points in our criteria come from products that are manufactured and installed in the building, which goes to show just how critical it is that the products are healthy and environmentally friendly. So here's just a flavor of some of those requirements and some of the product categories we're talking about. It's everything from drinking water fountains to finished materials like cupboards and flooring, furniture, the lighting, the windows, the doors, any structural wood used in the building, and then even the mechanical systems and so on can be recognized if they have certain attributes that are in our credits, like a health product declaration or an environmental product declaration. So what did we do in the last round of updates? This slide summarizes what happened with the credits that are related to products and materials. We did a lot more to the criteria update, but this is what I'll focus on today. We removed the credits that weren't popular, including the rapidly renewable materials credit. We moved what we call the material health disclosures credit, which is the same thing as what Terry calls the material ingredient disclosures, from the materials category to the environmental quality category. We enhanced the substance of our low embodied carbon credit. That's such an evolving field right now, and we wanted to make sure that teams were able to work with our requirements. And then we added a drinking water quality credit that we're very proud of. And this aligns us with WELL, for those of you who are familiar with the WELL rating system. It's all about the what's in the plumbing and testing of the drinking water. And then here's an example of how we updated credit numbers and names. We added P to the prerequisites and C to the credits so that users can easily distinguish between the two. Prerequisites also end in a .0 and credits can end in a .1, .2, .3, etc. As I said, we moved material health disclosures from MW category materials to EQ, which is indoor environmental quality. And then we did condense some things so that our numbering system is a little shorter. These changes are effective right now in US CHPS v2.0, which is currently in use, in California CHPS v2.0, which was just released and has already been picked up by a few teams, and will very soon be released in Northeast CHPS v4.0. That will be coming out this summer, I believe. And if you want to get a feel for what the content is, just the requirements only, not the full user guide, you could find it online. We are transitioning to a full digital content platform, which will be up and running very soon. Right now, you can just check out the requirements at that link you see on this slide. This is a busy slide, I know, but I wanted to illustrate for you, again, how important the materials and the products are in a classroom. Again, if you think about that, 16% of what influences these students to do their best is their physical environment. And here's how even a single item like a cupboard can meet several of our requirements and earn several credits. It can be low VOC, it might have an EPD, it might have some recycled content or have certified wood in it. So how do we work with products to pre-approve them, and how do we work with our listing partners, which are Sustainable Minds and Zero Docs? We got our start in pre-approving products a long time ago. We had a static low emitting materials list way back when, and then the market just took off for listing services. We established a more robust database some years after that with multiple attributes. But then as others surpassed us in their ability to provide that kind of thing in a better way online, we decided to transition to working with Sustainable Minds and Zero Docs so that they would provide the listing services and we could then focus on the compliance of the products with our requirements. So we issue what we call a pre-approved product certificate. There's a little sample there on the slide. It has a date that it's effective up here and a date that it expires. This information right here is the name of the product, the category of the product, and the name of the manufacturer. Down here are the reference standards and where you find them in our information. And over here would be the prerequisites and credits that the product complies with. There can be multiple ones listed on the same certificate. There can be multiple products listed on the same certificate from one manufacturer and so on. They're pretty flexible things. The purpose for these certificates is not to compete with Declare and GreenGuard and all that, but it's to make it easier for teams to find good products for schools and for manufacturers to make connections with teams, and just to make it generally easier for everyone to show compliance. Because if you have a CHPS pre-approved product certificate, we don't require any documentation when the school building project comes to us for verification. So that makes it a lot easier for the design team. They don't have to chase any documents. It makes it easier for the subcontractor. It makes it easier all around. That said, we can't pre-approve everything. We can only do the categories that I've listed here for you. So the finished materials, flooring, cupboards, furnishings, paints and coatings, adhesives and sealants, doors, that kind of thing. Any structural wood that is certified sustainable we can do. And then generally any product in the building that has an EPD or a material health disclosure or has recycled content we can do. We have been in conversations with some lighting manufacturers about pre-approving them, which might be possible. We can pre-approve things that have measurable attributes pre-installation. So if it depends on being in situ in the new building, we can't pre-approve it. But if it's a standalone attribute, we can, and lighting has those measurable attributes. So we'll see. Hopefully we'll be able to offer that in the future. So our listing on Sustainable Minds, which Terry introduced you to and we'll talk more about later, is a type of pre-approval. Currently, we don't offer the CHPS certificate as part of the package, but she and I are talking about that and how that might work. So if you have EPDs or any kind of material ingredient disclosure and you list on Sustainable Minds and you're a CHPS member, then you get your member logo and your product logo on your listing page so that everybody knows as soon as they go to your page that you have a commitment to healthy, high performance schools and your products meet our requirements. It's possible to buy certificates direct from CHPS. They are portable. I'll talk about that a little bit later too. Certificate pricing right now starts at $75 per product for up to 2 attributes. We typically do custom quotes each time because manufacturers might have a whole family of products. There might be multiple attributes and so on. And then I did mention that we have a second listing partner, which is Zero Docs. That's their URL. They provide listings for us on all of the attributes that we can recognize, particularly the low emitting materials. So I thought it might be helpful to go over some common questions we get and points of confusion that we've noticed out there. We have two types of requirements that apply to products, and there is a little bit of overlap, but generally they fall into either it's a compliance with a stated third-party standard. By that, I mean CHPS did not establish the standard, or we customized the standard to be appropriate to schools. But essentially, the requirement is to comply with the standard, and then the proof of the compliance would be in either a testing report, for example, from a laboratory, or in a certification label that uses the same standard. The second type of requirement is we just leaped over the reference to the third-party standard and went direct to the certification. So in that case, for example, our material health disclosures credit just goes right to saying if you have a declare label or a cradle to cradle certification or a UL product lens certification, for example, you qualify. Water sense fixtures, it's another example of that. So in that case, the proof of compliance and the requirement are basically the same thing. We're looking for that label or that certificate. A second point of confusion is very understandable. I didn't even understand it when I first came on, and I was really happy to learn it and better understand it. Having low VOC content in a product is not the same as having low VOC emissions. It's a very common point of confusion. The reason is, if you think about it, it makes sense. A wet applied product, for example, like paint, when you apply it and it dries, a chemical reaction happens. There might not be any VOC content in there in the manufacturing originally, but a chemical reaction could certainly create a VOC, which could then emit and possibly be harmful. So just be sure to understand that just because you have low or no VOC content in your product, if we tell you you still need to be tested for emissions, that's what we mean. Another thing I've heard, I haven't been around long enough to use it myself, but I think if you work with anyone who has been around a long time, or you yourself have been around a long time, you might have heard the California Department of Public Health Specification 1350 being referred to as CHPS 1350. I don't entirely know how that came about, but if you do hear someone say CHPS 1350, what they're really talking about is the CDPH standard method for VOC emissions testing. Another thing I've heard, and again, it's understandable because of the rise of EPDs and the fact that EPDs are so comprehensive, is that some people think that if they have an EPD, that's sufficient, that would work for many of our credits. It doesn't. An EPD gets you the credit for our EPD requirement. It doesn't, however, get you credit to prove that you have low VOC emissions. That's an entirely different pathway where you have to be lab tested or certified. And then I mentioned this earlier, it's possible to purchase a CHPS pre-approved certificate on its own. It's portable, you can post it on your website, use it in your materials or on your packaging and so on. So in our conversations with manufacturers, we often get asked what they can do, how can they get more market exposure, and how can they get into more schools. And what we recommend is get your products tested or certified as a low emitting material if it qualifies, if it has certified wood, or if it has recycled content. And I would be happy to help explain all of those to you if you had questions. Create your transparency documents if you haven't already, or if you have them already, make sure that that's available and clearly visible to people so they know. And related to that, and Maddie will talk about this too, it's really important that the people on the design team, and then in turn the people on the CHPS side who are reviewing the projects, are able to easily find your proof of compliance. So post it on your product data sheets, post it on your website or on your listing service. And last but not least, as I said, a CHPS certificate makes it all easier. You get one and you pass go, and it's brilliant. And then what else can anyone do? If you're not a manufacturer, there's still a lot you can do, ways you can get involved. I encourage you to join us and show your commitment to high performance schools. We are a member-based nonprofit, and we have lots of different opportunities for members to shine. You can read our criteria and talk to us about how you would apply them in your own school or in your own district or to some potential scope of work. You could sign up for our social media or newsletter and follow us and stay informed. If you have favorite vendors or vendors that you particularly specify and they're not already CHPS pre-approved, talk to them about that. Ask them if it's something that they would do. And last but not least, we're really excited to offer a new webinar series in the fall that we'll be calling School Building Science Fridays. It'll be once a month on the second Friday, and it will be covering in depth a single topic each time on everything to do with school building science and best practices and hot topics. So I hope that you will join us for those. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. That was great. And you guys are really getting a lot of work done over there. And I look forward to that webinar series, Science Fridays. I love that. So moving right along, we're going to turn things over to Gretchen Withers from Oregon Door, who Oregon Door is a CHPS member, and Gretchen's going to tell you about the work that they do there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Gretchen Withers from Oregon Door. A little history about myself. I've got quite an extensive history, and with Oshkosh Door and Oregon Door. I'm currently a team member of Oshkosh and Edgewater. They're both sister companies. I've had quite a bit of experience in various areas: supply chain, sales, regulatory compliance, research and development for Oshkosh Door. And my introduction initially to sustainability was the very first FSC audit conducted for Oshkosh Door. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you Oregon's sustainability journey that we're very, very proud of. The picture that I'm showing you right now is actually a picture of what we look at every day from our plant. It's the background, it's an actual mountain. This is where we're located, and I think this is one of the things that when we think about environment, it's really a reminder of what we're trying to preserve. We're located in the Pacific Northwest, 3 hours south of Portland, Oregon. We're an architectural door manufacturer. You will find us in CSI Division 8 under wood doors, currently a CHPS member, and then a member of WDMA. So our journey kind of began with a passion. We have always strived to manufacture the finest architectural wood doors, and we are very passionate about it. In our infancy, we manufactured only hollow core doors, and within 4 years, Oregon Door changed this to a full architectural line. Our passion really opened the door to so much more. Our services are really tailored to the specific needs of the professionals we serve for each customized project and the design team specification. In other words, however an architect specifies a building, we really try to tune into exactly what they're looking for. Our doors are pre-fit, machined, and pre-finished. Pre-finishing is offered in our standard colors or in a custom match, while always keeping in mind being as much of an environmental steward that we can in providing sustainable solutions for all the opening needs. And then these are delivered right to your job site, ready to install. And the pictures below are just a couple of snippets from our inside sales team, our factory, our shipping department, and then because of where we're located, we're right on I-5, and so we are very close to where Roseburg is, located in Winston, Oregon, and so it's a wonderful location to have because I-5 will take you straight up to Vancouver, Washington, or all the way through California. We have two different series of doors. The first series we have is our 5-ply architectural series, which is available in our commercial veneer or plastic laminate faces. These are flush wood doors. And our second series is our Craftsman series, and these become a little bit more specialized in the faces, and they are offered in a horizontal face, a sketch face, oversized. So as an example, what you're seeing on the left-hand side is a sliding barn door, and the veneer on there is actually running horizontally. The door in the middle is a sketch face door, and you'll see that the components of the face are running horizontally and vertically. And the door in the background actually has what we call reveals in the face of the door. Our main door construction, architectural door construction options are our particle core door, our agri-fiber core, our mineral core, which is offered in 45, 60, and 90-minute ratings, structural composite lumber core, which many times you'll hear that called strand core. It's a little bit more dense than a particle core door. And then our acoustic core for all your acoustical ratings. And then we also offer lead-lined doors and bullet resistant. This is probably my favorite part to talk about, is all our transparency documents that we've done, because in 4 short years, I think we've made very, very great strides in becoming as sustainable as possible. So currently we have 19 EPDs, which are available in wood and plastic laminate faces. This covers our acoustic doors, our bullet resistant, our fire rated, lead lined, our particle core, agrofiber, recore, and structural composite lumber core. We currently have 8 HPDs in our particle core, agrofiber core, fire rated, and structural composite core. And doors with offered in wood faces, we currently have 4 declare labels in particle core, agrofiber, fire rated, and our structural composite core. In addition to this, we have 18 Green Guard and 18 Green Guard Gold certifications. These are all offered in our wood and plastic laminate face doors, which covers our acoustic, our bullet resistant, fire rated, our lead line, particle core, recore, structural composite lumber core. And we have 12 recycled certifications also that cover our acoustic core, agrofiber, fire rated, our particle core, recore, structural composite lumber core. And in addition, FSC certification is available on all our wood core doors. We tried to align our products with the most comprehensive sustainability programs to achieve the best possible transparency for a commercial architectural building. And as you see on there, here are a few of our certificates. And now I'm going to show you a few of our projects that we are very proud that we were able to provide our doors on. 3 months after we first published our declare label, the design team for the University of Chicago Keller Center reached out to us inquiring about our declare label. At that time, we were only one of 2 manufacturers wood door manufacturers that had a declare label. And fortunately, we were awarded this project. So this was provided in our Craftsman Series door, an FSC certification, structural composite lumber core with corded white birch horizontal grain faces. A few of the schools that we have done Nestucca School, K through 8 in Cloverdale, Oregon. We provided those doors in structural composite lumber core with rift white oak face veneer. Columbia River High School in Vancouver, Washington. These doors were manufactured as structural composite lumber core doors with plastic laminate faces. In Glover Middle School in Spokane, Washington, these were particle core doors with corded white faces. So we were very proud of the work that we've been able to partner with schools and with some of the sustainability transparency documents we've had. And recently we were able to partner with Google, and we were awarded this project, and it's 237 Moffett in Sunnyvale, California. This was provided in our architectural series, FSC certified particle core with rustic oak faces. So some of the things that we've learned along our sustainability journey is that transparency closures are really positive movements. We really feel transparency is being honest and open. It creates peace of mind for the architect and designer to be able to choose products that provide full disclosure to support design for the creation of buildings that are healthy and sustainable. And we've also found, and I found this myself, when you're working with these transparency documents, they're designed to have checks and balances so they can be selected with confidence. And so when they're specified, you go in and know that the transparency document really supports a healthy building. It's not cost prohibitive to be transparent. In fact, transparency is a good investment. Design teams search for companies that have sustainability programs, and transparency documents make their job easier. I know I've had numerous calls from architects and designers asking about our sustainability documents as they're trying in the beginning stages of their creation and design of their buildings. Sustainability is also a well-supported infrastructure of the world of green. And I found there's many, many resources along the way to assist. Some of the improvements and innovation that Oregon has gone through, and we're very, very proud of it, is we continue to strive to be as transparent as possible. We continually look for avenues to partner with our distributors to improve on our transparency and information and certifications. In 2015, we installed an automated finishing line for our doors. We transitioned to a water-based line and UV top coat system. This allowed us to reduce our VOC emissions from 80 tons per year to less than 2 tons per year. Our Oregon team cohesively works to take all the steps necessary in promoting an environmental conscious workplace and ensure our products meet the strictest green building standards. Everybody from in the plant, the office, outside, we all have one goal, and that's to keep our environment safe and be environmental stewards. Our Oregon team is a green power partner in which our goal is to increase the use of renewable energy, and we're also a Pacific Power Blue Sky business visionary partner, which supports renewable energy. So you might ask yourself, why look for products with transparency information? When AECs are looking for companies to partner with and specify in building products, we have found the Sustainable Minds is a great resource. It's one-stop shopping, period. Easy access and a user-friendly site to access transparency documents and specifications so that one can look at a whole building and all the products and know that you're going in and specifying a very environmentally safe building. It really streamlines the process of finding compliant products. And we feel as far as the importance of product transparency, all manufacturers should continue to push forward to be transparent as possible, as this does contribute to being an environmental conscious contributor to our building. The value of transparency documents is invaluable. We encourage participation and continuing education of sustainability and transparency. Our future is in our children's hands and those to come. We need to do our part in saving our environment and keeping our buildings healthy and safe. In closing, I would like to say Oregon Door is very, very proud to be a partner with CHPS, Collaborative High Performance Schools, and Sustainable Minds. We all firmly believe in healthy environments and healthy business practices. We must all keep our future healthy and those who will grow up in these environments. After all, our children are our future, and they will be our future leaders. Thank you for attending today. And if you would like more information on our company, I've listed our website address for you.
Well, thank you, Gretchen. Very well said. And you guys really, really do beautiful work. And we've been very proud to be working with you for 3 or 4 years now. So we've seen you do some great projects. Well, let's move things right along to Maddie. And Maddie's going to take you through her process of how they build CHPS buildings. Thanks, Maddie.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Maddie Gore. I'm with Group14 Engineering here in Denver, Colorado. I'm going to give you a little bit more info about us here in just one second. So Group14 was established and is headquartered in Denver, Colorado. We began our office in 1992. We're a woman-owned, disadvantaged, and small business enterprise here. Our primary service areas are energy, commissioning, and sustainability. For those of you who've ever worked on a CHPS project, we are kind of a one-stop shop as well for consulting, everything from energy efficiency and the energy prerequisites, including commissioning, and then facilitating your design teams and construction teams through the CHPS verification process. We are 49 staff members with about 16 professional engineers and 24 lead APs. There's no formal certification for a CHPS professional yet, but you know, we will be one once that happens. So I have been in the industry and with Group14 for about 5 years. I started as an intern, then office manager, then started as sustainability tech support where I started most of my CHPS work, and then moving into more sustainability and marketing, managing for new construction work. Again, the bulk of my work is in the K through 12 market, majority being CHPS projects. My very first project when I started in sustainability in 2019 was actually Mapleton Adventure, which is now a CHPS verified new construction project. Here you can kind of see our experience with CHPS and how involved we are. This list is kind of just an overview of the projects that we currently have, as I just mentioned. Mapleton Adventure School is CHPS verified. We have a handful of other schools that have passed design review at this point and are pending final construction and completion of construction. You can see that our different types vary from new construction to major renovations with additions, modernizations with additions, like Elizabeth originally mentioned, the different types of ratings that you can do depending on your project and the scope. It's also worth noting that we have 3 new CHPS projects on deck that have yet to start. They're just getting ready in that schematic design phase. So I just want to talk a little bit about CHPS design best practices. It's really important that you bring on a CHPS consultant at the beginning of your project, engaging them in the SD phase, which is schematic design, or earlier is ideal. That way we can make sure everybody has the same goals. We know what credits we're pursuing. The district has a say in their integration decisions, ensuring that all of the drawings and specifications comply with CHPS and are following those guidelines. We will provide finishes products for CHPS pre-approval in the specs usually, and I will get into that here in just a second. So it might be a little small for you guys, but this is kind of our CHPS project schedule. As I mentioned, we like to be involved here at SDs, that top row, which is schematic design. So going over the initial scope and setting up our CHPS kickoff. And then we'll move into the DD phase, design development. This is where we really start to get involved with products and calling out products that may or may not be CHPS compliant. So I will do a review at 50% CD or 50% DD set and go through most of those finished products that Elizabeth mentioned as earlier. So anything in that EQ, low emitting materials, I'm looking for, and that can be your divisions, 8, 9, anything with like flooring, paints and coatings, composite wood, even sometimes in your guys' mechanical submittals, there's paints and coatings there. And I am reviewing all of those to make sure that we're meeting the VOC requirements and emissions, as well as making sure that that language is incorporated into your specifications for the whole book. I'll do another review, again, at 100% DDs to ensure that that first set of comments has been picked up. And then we'll do another review again at 50% CDs, which is construction documents. That's when we're getting close to being ready for permit. And we'll just do another review at 50% to ensure that all of those comments have been picked up. Sometimes we'll come across one paint or coating that has a really, really high VOC content and encourage the team to select an alternative product so that by the time we get to 100% CDs, all of those issues have been ironed out and we should have caught everything that may or may not comply with low emitting materials by the time 100% CDs are issued. And then we'll move into construction administration, which is like we're on site. And then we get to be reviewing submittals. So this is kind of the last stop to check and make sure that everything that was incorporated into the specs for low emitting materials, EPDs, material health has been picked up and is included in those submittal reviews. It's really our last chance to catch anything that may or may not comply. After that, we have the project completion, and then this says certification, but it would be verification. That's the language CHPS uses once the project has completed the process. So specification best practices, like I mentioned before, we're looking at these through the entire DD phase and mostly the whole CD phase as well. It's really important to incorporate the Division 1 sustainable design requirements. Your CHPS consultants should provide this spec language for you, but it is important to make sure it's integrated into the spec booklet, as well as being referenced in those applicable sections. Like I mentioned earlier, it could be like your flooring, your paint section. So lots of Division 9 should be referencing back to these sustainable design requirements. It's also worth calling out CHPS compliant on those products in your specs or those CHPS best practices and documents that we're looking for. On this slide, you can kind of see an example of what I'm talking about when we say integrating that language into your specifications. So the 018113 sustainable design requirements is included in this table of contents, as it should be, having its own section. And then you can see over here to the right in this tile carpeting section, the 1.03 CHPS submittal and report. It clearly references back to the sustainable design requirements. And then in section B is calling out the factors that we need to ensure compliance. So that indoor emissions evaluation, the VOC content restrictions for wet applied products, environmental product declarations, health product declarations. I just want to be clear here, health product declarations is just one form of material health reporting. There are many other forms that we'll get into here in another couple slides. Like we talked about earlier with declare labels or cradle to cradle, manufacturer inventories, UL product lenses, those can all help and contribute. This specific spec section just calls out HPDs specifically. As I mentioned, we're really looking at low emitting materials, and this is applicable to the interior of the vapor barrier. When we're rejecting or accepting products like this, it's mostly all going to be interior or what makes up the vapor barrier. And this is what comes into play in our construction admin phase. So during the submittal review, I am number one checking for compliance in these credits, these top 3 credit categories for flooring, paints and coatings, and composite wood and agri-fiber products. You'll see that the credit numbers here reference the old version of the criteria, not the 2.0 criteria. So just keep that in mind. But we are looking at making sure that the VOC content limits are met for paints and coatings. Then we have those emission standards that Elizabeth talked about a little bit earlier, making sure that you're knowing that those are 2 different things, VOC limits versus VOC emissions. We need both in order to get that credit. VOC is only required for the prerequisite. However, when you move down to composite wood and material flooring, we do still need that CDPH emissions testing. And then for composites, we're looking at more of formaldehyde. So the CARB ATCM phase 2, either with no added formaldehyde or ultra low emitting formaldehyde. Just below that, you can see some of these other optional credits. It's worth noting here that adhesives and sealants calls out meeting VOC content limits and emissions. That's the only way you can get credit for this section. So unlike paints and coatings where you just have to meet VOC limits for the prerequisite, here in adhesives and sealants, you will need both VOC content and emissions. Similar testings happen for ceiling wall systems, and then furniture has its own emissions evaluation, but that would also need to be met if you're interested in pursuing that path. So here's just another example of what some of those emission certificates look like. Over here on the left, you can see more of our wet applied products like a Sherwin-Williams paint, having that Green Guard Gold with the TVOC listed, which is total volatile organic compounds. That's really what we're looking for there when we talk about emissions. And then over to your right at the top, you can see the composite wood, and it explicitly calls out the NAF. That would give us reason to put this towards the credit and the prerequisite. And then flooring, you can see is demonstrated in 2 different ways. We have a floor score certificate and a Green Label Plus. You'll see Green Label Plus mostly on carpet, but this is what we're looking for when we're sending reviews asking for compliance or proof of compliance. All right, so another one that we talked about was EPDs and material health disclosures. There's a couple examples of EPDs above. We're just looking for valid, and we can get into these deeper maybe in an offline discussion if anybody's interested. But it's really important to have these done for your products so we know what the environmental impacts are of your products as well. Same goes for your material health disclosures, just letting us know what's involved in that product and how it might be affecting occupants in that area. So best practices for construction are going to be during that submittal review process and construction admin as well. Like I mentioned earlier, this is kind of our last stop to ensure that products that are being put into the building are safe and healthy and compliant with CHPS. So we will require that subcontractors include CHPS documentation in their product submittals. This goes for manufacturers too. We talked about earlier, Elizabeth did, about including your CHPS pre-approved products in your product data sheets. That's going to be huge for us as a reviewer of CHPS products, is seeing that called out on the product data sheet specifically. And then your subcontractors will submit that proof of compliance with these submittals. So that'll be your Green Guard Gold certificate or your HPD, that third-party testing. But either way, we want to see this kind of information documented on your product data sheet specifically. That way it's not just unclear and it could be any product from this manufacturer. We want to see it on the specific product itself. Like I just said, a statement about CHPS compliance is not sufficient to approve a product from our end as consultants. We want to see that actual third-party testing to ensure that the product is safe and healthy for building occupants. Final submittals will be approved by the entire design team and stamped and included for construction review compliance. This is where, you know, we'll get everybody's okay on the product, meets all the requirements, we have all the documentation, and then we'll send that off to CHPS so they can see that everybody was involved in the process. It's also worth noting that proof of purchase and install is called out under these credits for low emitting materials, but it is only required when your products installed during your submittal review are differ from your specifications. So it's really important that we're involved early on in that specification review and we're following the specs the best that we can and avoiding substitutes, especially with short notice for prerequisite categories such as paints and coatings, flooring, and composite wood. I just want to thank you all for your time, and my contact info is below if anybody has any questions about CHPS and what we look for in our specs and other consulting services that we offer with CHPS. I'd be happy to touch base with you.
Maddie, thank you. That was a great deep dive and done very quickly, and to show that you really, really do have to start thinking and planning right up front. So well done, and some beautiful work. Well, in the last few minutes that we have together, I think what I'm going to do is simply just for the manufacturers who are here on the call to remind you that at Sustainable Minds, our mission is to help you operationalize environmental performance and material health into your product development and manufacturing processes. And one of the services that we offer, which is a little bit unique, is for those of you wanting to get started on material health reporting or simply do more, we offer a technical support package where we'll help you get started and we'll train you to do them yourselves. And that process will take as little time as you like or as long as you like, but we, literally work with your people, get you up and running, get it understandable, collect the data, check your work, or we, do as much as you would like us to do for you and bring you along, whatever is going to work for your team. And that way, ultimately, that capability should be able to be integrated into your product development team. On the transparency catalog, we have this master decoder page, and what we have is a link to all of the green building rating systems that offer credits for transparency, and you can see CHPS is part of that list. And then below that, we list all of the material ingredient programs and map their disclosures to the credit eligibility. So you can see we pulled out the HPD section, and you can see the various levels of HPDs and which levels or types or disclosure degrees map to the rating systems. And it is on our roadmap to update the credit names, Elizabeth, now that you have the new designations, and we'll run that by you. But what I want to show everyone, which is what we had talked about at the start, was how to use the transparency catalog to literally find every manufacturer in any MasterFormat division or section. So Maddie, it was great that you showed, you told your story through the specification process. So let's say your team was looking for products in Division 6, and you can come right here to the front page. You can pick Division 6. You can actually pick which section in Division 6 you might want to look at right away. Or you can say, look, I just want to work on Division 6 right now, I'm going to look at everything in Division 6 before I start drilling in. So I'm going to go here to Division 6, and what I find out is that there's 116 brands and 390 products. So there's a number of different filters that you're now able to use in any order that you want to use them, depending upon where you are in the project, if you're just doing early stage research, or whether you're actually working on the specification, or again, if you're in pre-construction and you're looking for contractors to, the subs to be able to find manufacturers to submit bids. But now within each MasterFormat section, in each division, I can open up a section, and the way we build the filters is that we don't add a section number unless there actually is a manufacturer who has products or disclosures at that number, because we don't want to give anybody a bad user experience with 0 results. So, still in 0640, there's 22 brands and 117 products, which you could certainly click through. But at this point, you might want to say, well, I'm working on a CHPS project. So you're going to go down to the rating systems filter and you say, just show me all of the brands and products that are going to contribute to the CHPS credit. And that brings it down to 20 brands and 97 products. That's still a lot. So you might go for broke and say, hey, which of these manufacturers have products that will contribute to both the EPD and the material ingredient credit? And now you're left with one single brand. But having said that, you can, again, use the filters in any order that you like. So you might say, well, really, now that I go down and I know how many brands will contribute, what I happen to like, maybe are HPDs. So show me all the brands for the products in, 0620 that have HPDs. So again, you can do it in any order that you like. You can just look at the brands and say, okay, these are the ones I like. I just want to see them. And ultimately, you will arrive at the products that you're looking for. The last thing I want to say about the filter is the way that we've designed it is so that people do 2 things. One is that they might find results for a solution, a design solution that they didn't know a product could exist. So you actually have to turn off what you're not looking for when you get into the section. So maybe I'm only looking for wood paneling, but I'm going to look for ornamental woodwork later. That's interesting. But also to be able to find brands that they might not have known about. So this really does help manufacturers who have really innovative and higher performing products they want to bring to the market. We make it possible for people to find those brands based on the way they're thinking about looking for products in any stage of design. Well, I'm going to thank you for sticking around today. I know we're just a couple minutes past our time. You will get a recording. You will be able to request the deck. And if you have time to spend 15 seconds responding to the exit survey as you leave, that'd also be great. And I want to thank Gretchen, Elizabeth, and Maddie for your time today. Well done. And thanks everyone for coming, and have a great day.